Welcome back to some of the best stories from r/TalesFromTechSupport. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now let's take a look at the first story. It's called You Told Us. I used to be a shift team lead for a hosted outsourcing company that provided our own software and systems to various financial institutions. Some of these companies were very small and only had a single box. Some were larger and had a pair of boxes, usually one serving as the live environment and one as the testing environment. Others had more different functions. Some did all their own development, others paid us to do their dev and bug fixing work for them. One of the most important things we handled was physical backups. Each box had its own backup schedule, where it would back up to tapes. Each morning one of our tasks was to remove the tape from the previous night's backup, scan the barcode and send them offsite to our secure storage facility. Once that was done, we'd make sure that the scratch tape for the next scheduled backup was loaded and ready to go. This one company we dealt with had both a live and test environment and had their own in-house developers. Initially they were both backed up nightly, but due to a cost limiting exercise, the IT manager on their side submitted a change request to limit the test system to one backup per week, to be carried out on a Friday night. No problem. Amend the backup schedule and update the documentation to reflect the change. All sorted. I wasn't there when all of this happened, but it was all included and documented on the shift handover report when our team took over, so we knew we didn't have to load tapes for this particular box until Friday. About 8 months later, we received a ticket from one of their developers. This happened on our Thursday afternoon. Help! This library on the test system was just accidentally deleted. Please, can this be restored from last night's backup urgently? My tech who received the ticket confirmed with me correctly that they were now on weekly backups on this particular box, and the most recent backup we had was almost a week old. My tech relays this back to the end user in an email. The user calls back immediately. No, that's not good enough. If that's the most recent backup you have, that means we've lost almost a week's worth of critical work. I need to speak to your supervisor immediately. I duly took over the call. Your colleague has just informed me that you've stopped backing up the system daily. This is unacceptable. As I heard my colleague explain, the backup schedules are decided by your company, as this was a test system, as opposed to our live environment. The decision was taken on your side to reduce the backup frequency from daily to weekly. You need to speak to your IT department for clarity on this. I'll do that. You haven't heard the last of this. About half an hour later, another one of my guys gets a call, asking to be put straight through to me. This is the systems manager from company. I've just had an interesting conversation with one of my developers, stating that you've stopped doing our backups, that we are paying you to perform. Just for your information, this call is being recorded, and I've got a conference call with our solicitors in 15 minutes, whereby, if this is not resolved satisfactorily by that time, we will be filing a lawsuit for the cost of our lost development work, and a recording of this call will be used as evidence. Talk about aggressive. I explained to the guy that 8 months ago, someone at their company submitted a change request, that we reduced the backup frequency on the system from daily to weekly, and this was carried out as requested. Well, that's just insane. Nobody here would have done that. I need the name of the person who submitted the request, as well as the person on your side who actioned the request, without verifying that the request was received from an authorized member. Okay, well, I wasn't on shift when that change was made, but it will have all been documented on our ticketing system. Bear with me a second. Here we go. So the request was made on April 12th this year by you, systems manager. That's not right. There must be another person here with that name. You've got 2 John Smiths, both working as systems managers. Does that not get confusing? I don't recall asking you to do this. Well, we have the email saved to the original ticket, along with several emails back and forth, where we asked you to clarify a couple of points, and also a scanned copy of the signed change form, where you have written your name and signature. Do you want me to forward these over for your solicitors? Although I suspect you might already have copies of them if you check your sent items folder. No, that's fine. Thanks. I'll let the developers know that you can't recover the file. That'd be great. Thanks. Is there anything else I can help you with today? He hung up. I printed off the ticket and dug out a copy of the call recording to forward around to the team. And I added this to my training guides for new hires. As an example of why documenting everything is critical. Always remember rules 1 through 10 of tech support. Cover yourself and document everything. The next story is called Hacker Attack. I own a small MSP in Georgia. At one point in my life, I was a pretty decent technician, but these days, my job is mostly shaking hands. I try to work a ticket or two every day though, just to keep in shape, so I can talk intelligently. Today, one of our system monitors alerted us to excessive login failures at one of our largest customers. This is an alert that is set up to let us know if someone has failed to log in successfully several times, and is designed to give us a heads up if there's a brute force attack happening. We have the threshold set pretty low, and we get one alert a week, just on the shared computers usually. But this alert was on a fax server at one of their smaller remote locations. No users typically are at the fax servers, so I decided to go ahead and investigate. I fired up Screen Connect and was greeted by the Windows login welcome screen, just spinning. After a few seconds, it hit the password authentication window, but almost instantly blinked out of it and was trying to log in again. Red flags immediately. I watched for another 30 seconds or so and saw it hit the login screen again and failed password check 3 more times, again almost instantly. Clearly, this was some sort of bot trying to brute force its way into the system. This is a pretty secure system, as things go, and we take things like this incredibly seriously. I'm trying to rack my brain and figure out where an attack like this would even come from, and why it would be hitting this server, which is much less exposed than a lot of other things on the network. I grabbed 2 of my senior techs real quick and put them on the case to try and figure out what was happening and where this was coming from. We didn't want to log into the system because it might have a keylogger going, and we didn't know what the situation was, so we were pushing out commands on the backend. Everything kept getting weirder and weirder. We chased down some suspicious processes with open connections, but we were able to determine with some effort that those were benign. We couldn't find an outside source hitting this machine, in the firewall or through the switch. So one of my techs said, maybe it has something already on it, trying to brute force itself, that will phone home once it gets a domain login. So we decided to isolate the machine on the network to test this theory. Nothing is working, so we deploy a tech to go pick up the server and bring it back to the shop and get it off their network. In the meantime, I call management and let them know we are seeing an attack on their network and we are investigating. This place is only a few minutes away, but as the tech is driving over, the attacks suddenly stop. I'm pretty close to a full-on freakout at this point. My tech goes ahead and reboots the server to see if the assault continues. After the reboot though, it was quiet. We pushed out a temporary admin account and new password and went ahead and logged into the box to start poking around. We dug into the event viewer security logs to see what was going on and started to see all of the audit failures. Weird thing though, they were all trying our admin account and they were all coming from the local machine. The server had just come back up when my technician got into the remote office. As he walked in, the front desk receptionist said, "When you get done with whatever you are here for, this machine next to me keeps beeping at me." She waves at the fax server. My technician walked up to the fax server, picked up a catalog off of the enter key, and then promptly called back to let us know that we are all a bunch of idiots. The third story is called Idiotic Doctor. I run a small IT business about a couple miles up the road from a big regional hospital. A couple times a year we recover lost or stolen PCs that belong to them. This one has the best origin story so far. A kid brought in his Mac, which needed a significant amount of work that he can't afford. So his generous dad gave him his old work computer to use. He brought it in to have us wipe it for him and make it like new. Well, this old computer is practically brand new. and had an asset tag as well as encryption software for the local hospital on it. Standard procedure is to remove asset tags when retiring equipment. So whenever we see one, we call the company to verify that it has in fact been retired, not just stolen. I called the hospital help desk, and this laptop is still active and is assigned to not just any doctor, but a department head. As is typical when we recover these, someone from the IT department showed up in our office 10 minutes later to take possession of it. For those who don't know, losing equipment with protected health information on it is a serious issue. Lucky for this doctor, it was encrypted, so isn't a reportable loss. The last story is called Refrigerator with Keyboard. Many years ago I got a field report of a few systems that were turning themselves off during the night, without warning or seemingly a reason. We had some temperature monitoring software that would automatically shut the system down if it got too hot, and the log showed that was what was happening. But it was November and the systems were in snowy regions, so too hot didn't make sense. A quick look through the code showed me the problem. The programmer was reading the current temperature as an unsigned byte instead of a signed one, as the datasheet for the part specified, so that an actual temperature of -1 degree Celsius, which is crazy cold for a system, was being read as 255, and so it would shut down immediately. Data investigation found that the affected systems were in unheated loading dock areas. The fix was, of course, easy. But testing it required putting the system in our kitchen freezer, with the various cables coming out. The CEO walked in, while I was sitting there with a keyboard, mouse and monitor, seemingly hooked up to the refrigerator, and just said, "I don't think that I should ask what you are doing." Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.